In recent years, an alarming crisis has emerged in the realm of science and expertise, posing significant societal implications. Observers have pointed to a growing distrust in scientific knowledge, with some warning that we are moving towards a post-factual democracy, one in which objective facts are overshadowed by personal beliefs and political narratives. Events like Brexit and the election of Donald Trump are often cited as key indicators of this troubling shift, highlighting how expert opinions are increasingly challenged, dismissed, or selectively interpreted based on ideological biases. At the core of this issue lies an overwhelming volume of scientific research. Each year, approximately 2 million scientific papers are published across 30,000 academic journals. While this may suggest a thriving scientific community, concerns about the reproducibility crisis have cast doubt on the reliability of much of this research. Studies suggest that as much as 50% of published research may not withstand the test of time, either due to flawed methodologies, data misinterpretation, or external pressures influencing results. A striking example is a 2016 report published in Nature, where over 70% of surveyed researchers admitted they had failed to replicate another scientist's experiment, and over 50% struggled to reproduce their own past findings. This crisis extends across disciplines, from psychology and forensics to medicine and economics, leading some to question the very foundation of scientific expertise. The nutrition science controversy, a case study. One of the most infamous cases of manipulated science is in nutrition research, particularly regarding the long-standing war on dietary fats. For decades, public health policies demonized cholesterol and saturated fats, while largely dismissing the dangers of sugar consumption. However, historical investigations revealed that the sugar industry funded research in the 1960s and 1970s to downplay sugar's role in heart disease and shift blame onto fats. A 2016 study published in JAMA Internal Medicine exposed how the Sugar Research Foundation, now the Sugar Association, paid Harvard scientists to produce favorable findings, shaping dietary guidelines for generations. The consequences of this misinformation were severe, fueling the rise of low-fat, high-sugar diets, which have since been linked to obesity, diabetes, and metabolic disorders. This case exemplifies how external interests can distort science, undermining public trust in health recommendations, scientific triumphs, and the paradox of distrust. Despite these challenges, scientific progress continues to yield groundbreaking discoveries. The confirmation of gravitational waves in 2015 and the successful landing of the Rosetta spacecraft on a comet in 2014 showcase the immense potential of science to expand human knowledge. Yet, these achievements coexist with growing public skepticism. The paradox is evident. While scientific advancements push the boundaries of human understanding, faith in the scientific process itself appears to be waning. Science has historically been intertwined with democratic ideals, shaping policies and legitimizing power structures. However, trust in expertise is crumbling, echoing concerns raised by philosopher Jean-François Lyotard in The Postmodern Condition, 1979. Lyotard predicted that scientific knowledge would increasingly be questioned as society moved away from grand narratives and towards fragmented, subjective interpretations of truth. This erosion of trust is particularly evident in climate science, where phrases like "science has spoken" are used to silence debate. While overwhelming evidence supports human-induced climate change, the way scientific findings are communicated has sometimes alienated the public. Instead of fostering dialogue, the presentation of science as absolute and unquestionable has contributed to resistance from those who feel excluded from the conversation. One of the most significant issues plaguing modern science is the replication crisis, particularly in fields reliant on statistical analyses. A major concern is the misuse of p-values, a statistical measure used to determine the significance of research findings. While a p-value of 0.05 is often treated as the gold standard for statistical significance, this threshold is frequently misinterpreted and manipulated, leading to false positives and unreliable conclusions. In 2016, over 800 scientists signed a petition advocating for the abandonment of p-values in favor of alternative statistical approaches, citing their role in inflating the credibility of weak findings. Yet no clear consensus has emerged on a superior alternative, leaving the scientific community grappling with fundamental issues in research validation. The increasing commercialization of scientific research further complicates the crisis. Scholars like Philip Morawski have warned that corporate influence on research priorities risks shifting science away from pure inquiry and towards profit-driven objectives. In fields like pharmaceuticals, this influence is particularly troubling. For example, the opioid crisis in the United States was exacerbated by misleading research funded by Purdue Pharma, which downplayed the addictive properties of OxyContin. As a result, over 500,000 Americans died from opioid overdoses between 1999 and 2019, with Big Pharma's role in shaping medical discourse becoming a glaring example of how financial incentives can corrupt scientific integrity. The crisis in science has led to calls for a new model of knowledge production, one that prioritizes transparency, inclusivity, and interdisciplinary collaboration. A promising concept is post-normal science, championed by thinkers like Jerome Ravitz. This approach advocates for extended peer communities, where scientists, policymakers, and citizens collaborate to address complex societal challenges. By fostering open access research, promoting citizen science initiatives, and implementing stronger quality controls, the scientific community can work towards restoring public trust. The digital age offers unprecedented opportunities for real-time collaboration, democratizing knowledge production in ways previously unimaginable. Can science regain public confidence? The future of scientific inquiry hinges on how well we address these systemic issues. Science is not just about uncovering objective truths. It is also about power, influence, and societal trust. As history has shown, science thrives when it is self-correcting and open to scrutiny, but falters when it becomes rigid, politicized, or commercialized. Ultimately, the question remains: can science reclaim its role as a trusted authority in an era of misinformation and skepticism? The answer will depend on whether the scientific community can embrace reform, ensuring that knowledge production remains rigorous, ethical, and truly in service of the greater good.